Right, well, a quick look around this, shall we? What you're looking at in the middle of the picture there, that's the most important part of any machine. It's a cup of coffee. So, as you can see at the front there, we've got that piece of boxing is 6 inches long by about 4 inches wide, I think. So 6 inches that way and 4 inches the other, something like that. We've got a stabiliser leg on the front, look. You can see behind my G-clamp. What you do is you slacken that square nut up, the bar drops down, and it literally runs backwards and forwards on that piece of flat bar there that you see there. Stops it from, just gives it a bit more rigidity. So there's our dial on the top. I don't know whether we can see it. There's a little tiny grub screw in the side there. Look, we slacken that off so we can zero. Well, what we do is we bring it down. Well, what I do, I bring it down, touch off on the top, slacken that dial off, zero it, and I'm ready to go then. We've got lots and lots of little oilers dotted here and there. Look, I've been around and given them all a good dosing, and we've got some more in there. Look. So the clapper box, if you've watched any of the other Shaper videos with other people, this is just the same. It's just on a smaller version, so we can undo that and tilt the clapper box that way. This is the lock, so once we set the depth we want to cut, we just nip that up. This lock here, we slacken that one off and we can tilt the whole head left and right. The bolt on the top there, we slacken that off and then we can move where we want the end of the stroke to finish or where we want it to start type thing. It'll all become apparent. So we've got a handle here on the side which we can move everything backwards and forwards by manual, just in case something goes wrong. Always when you get your Shaper set up ready to cut, never just switch it on. Even a little one like this, it'll do some damage if something's catching. So always wind it over by hand, make sure you're clear on everywhere. So then we've another handle at the front here. This one does the, let's call that the X, shall we? And then you can put it on the bottom one. There's another thing underneath there, look. That's the Z, so that brings it up and down. And we've got the little white ball here with A and B on it. When the machine's running, if I lift that up, turn it that way, drop it in that slot, the power feed will work one way. If I turn it to B, it'll work the other. Now we've got this here where it says V and H, so we've got vertical and horizontal is what I presume that means. We alter that, we can then use the power feed on this machine in the up or the down position, which is quite handy actually. The lever on the side there with the white knob on, you pull that down or up, whichever way. I can't remember if I'm in gear or not. That pulls the pulley up or down and tightens the belt and makes the machine run. We've got start, stop, power switch, and we've got another little foot on off on the floor. You'll have to forgive the state of my workshop. It's if I said it's a shithole, I'm being kind to myself there, I think. So the few things that we need to watch for, look, is to never leave your coffee up there when you're going to move the Shaper out. You see, can we see the gap there? Look. Now you see how much gap I've got between the bottom side of the saddle, well the dovetail ways here and the top. It's not a lot. Always got to watch that, because if you're not careful you end up coming out and you crash that into the end of your work. Don't ask me how I know that, will you? Oh, another oiler there. Now this one here, if I can move that, just to give you a bit more of a look. This is how we alter the stroke. Well, not the stroke, the amount that we step over each time. So all we do is we undo that and we move that up and down on like an eccentric, isn't it? And it gives us an idea on the side here. So we've got 0. No, sorry, that's the other way. This will go out to 1 mil or whatever it is. It's a metric machine, believe it or not. Which I think the first couple of times I used it, I thought the measurements I was putting in on the top there was a little bit, shall we say, sketchy. And it wasn't until I realised that bloody thing's metric. Nothing wrong with it at all, it was just me. So again, a bit further back, yeah, there's a cabinet in the front. I don't think there's anything on this side. Ah, right, of course there is. See the door there, micro switch there. If that door comes open, the machine stops. Now if we can get in there, see the square headed bolt and the, back a little bit out, and the graph thing next to it, the numbers. We slacken that square headed bolt off, and then we slide that block up and down, and you see where it says 0 to 50. If we put it to 50, that means we're going to get 2-inch stroke, because you can see we're all the way up. We're near to our maximum of an 8-inch stroke. That's how you adjust how far this comes in and out. So anyway, it's a lovely little machine. It deserves a really good clean, but I'll be honest with you, while it's covered in shit and oil, it stops it from going rusty. And while it's in this workshop, that's a must. Eventually, as I said before, I want to build a new workshop. When I do build one, I will give this a bit of attention and give it a really good clean down, and wipe all the crap off it, and you know, just make it look nice again. So right, we'll get fired up, shall we? We'll machine the top of this box off. One other thing I forgot to mention, I'm sure somebody will ask if I don't. You undo that little screw there, pop that over. There's our pulley arrangement. So if I move that lever there, can we see in the bottom, you can see the belt tightening up. So that's when we're in drive, that's when we're slacking it off. So we've got 4 speeds, and I'm going to run it on the slowest speed, purely because you'll be able to see the cutting action and see it working better when it's in a slow speed. Can we get to see there's the cutter that I've got in. Basically, I've just ground up a left-handed lathe tool, and from what little I know about shapers, I basically ground it up the same way as I would a lathe tool, but instead of going for something like 8 to 10 degrees on the angles, with a shaper, you want somewhere around 2 to 4, somewhere in that ballpark. So that's basically what I've done. So once we've got that bit done and over with, we've got, can we see that? I can clean the shite off it a bit. Sorry chaps. So there's, right, focus. That's going to be my finishing tool. So that's how I managed to find somebody on the internet that was grinding them up, and that's basically it. So if you look on the bottom, look, there's not a lot of an angle. There's a lot more on the top, but and it does leave a pretty good finish. And I'll just see if I can get into the side there to show you. Yeah, excuse my grubby finger mark. You can see the lines on there, yeah, but that is as smooth as. Just always looks a little bit different when it's been done on a shaper, because you're always used to seeing the tooling marks of an end mill, aren't you? So that's why it looks a little bit strange, but it's actually a really good finish, and I quite like it actually. Right, enough waffling on, let's get this machine running. That's the second side. We've with a bigger step over now and a deeper cut. With a slight change of plan, chaps. Unfortunately, something's gone wrong with my shaper. I just started to cut this other side, as you can see, and it started to make a buzzing sound. I've spoken to a friend of mine, Mike, Dino Mike. He's well worth a look on his channel, called Dino Mike actually. And Mike seems to think that I've got a loose wire somewhere. And I've never known him be wrong about anything electrical yet, so I'm going to take his word for it. Unfortunately at the moment I haven't got time to, well no actually I have got time to have a look at it. Let me be honest, I can't be arsed. How's that sound? So anyway, I thought we'll crack on with this. The more I've been doing with this, the more I'm thinking that this might be a bad idea. Well, we'll not know until we get there, will we? I'm just wondering how much it's going to flex when I cut the top off it. Right. So what I've done, I've touched off on the back bit there that I've already cut on the shaper, and I've just added about another 5 thou on there. So we're running at 600 revs. We'll just let that tickle its way across there, and then we'll flip it on its end and see what happens when I cut the top off. Well, machine the top off. I'm not going to try and cut it in the bandsaw. I could do, but I don't want it nipping the blade. I've only got one decent blade left. I need to order another couple. So that seems to be ticking along there quite nicely. Crikey, that's leaving a really good finish, that is. I just looked at the cutter in the fly cutter, the tip of it, and it was a little bit chipped. So I've just had to resharpen it on the grinder and come back a little bit, you know, grind a bit off the front. But I didn't put a massive nose radius on it. There's that culvert, and I must admit I was thinking that the nose radius might be a bit sharp. That's a lovely finish on there. Right. We'll carry on and I'll get back to the other side in a second. That is as smooth as... God, I'm well surprised about that. I've always put a bigger radius on the fly cutters. Mind you, could be the difference in steel, couldn't it? I could be running a slightly different feed. So many variables come into this job. See how that goes. We should just be tickling it. Well, that's laid flat in the vise, so the shaper's slightly out somewhere. Or my sketchy setup. Finally, we can always make another pass on it, can't we? Let's see if we get a bit closer look. Lovely fly cutters, aren't they? Seem to do such a nice job for a simple sort of shop-made tool. Cover a big area with them, although I do need to make 2 new ones because the 2 I've got, they're not quite right. Yeah, I can hardly feel a step. You can just see on camera, can you? No, you can't. It's just starting to make a full cut on that side now. I'll bring you up a bit so you can see what I'm seeing. Hoping you can see that we've got a clear, what am I on about? It's taking full cut there, but only just, look, because we've still got the last line there from when the shaper was going over. The rest of it's gorgeous. Now we'll go down again, take that line out, and then we'll maybe stick another 5 thou cut on and just do a finished pass over it. It's going alright, eh? Bit of juice. Extra 5 thou depth. Just increase the RPM to 700. So we'll run across it a little bit quicker. Last pass. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit it on its end in a minute and machine these two ends up square. And I suppose, thinking about it, I ought to drill the 3 holes in the bottom before I cut the top off, didn't I? Because it'd be easy to hold. So we'll do that, I think. And if it does turn out that it's no good, well, I haven't really lost an awful lot of it. So I've just clocked that in. It moves about a little bit in the middle, but it's 0 at the bottom, which you can't see. Oh, you just have to trust me. And it comes back to 0 at the top. So we're getting M mill in now. Well, I've just touched off at the back there. And I've put 20 thousandths cut on it. We'll see where that gets us to. That's a 16mm carbide M mill, 1000 revs a minute. If Chris is watching, Chris is one of the viewers, he actually does have his own channel. I can't for the life of me remember what it is. But Chris is always telling me off. Well, I'll rephrase that, giving me advice. Because apparently I'm a bugger for milling with the quill out, and he told me on several occasions the quill is for drilling and the knee is for milling. So it's not that I don't listen to you, Chris, I've got a memory like a sieve. But anyway, we're trucking with it now, mate. So we'll go around the top of that and hopefully it'll cut all the way around. If not, I'll let it drop it down and take a bit more off it. That'll be it cleaned up. I had to take 40 thou off it in the end to get to where we needed to be, so I'll finish this. I'll just take the rags off it and then flip it over and do the other end. Right, this is the other side. We'll get this one brought in and then we'll look at drilling some holes. So I'm marked up. I've edge found this edge and the width and this edge, and I've got some taps here which are M9 by 0.75. They're quite a fine tap. So I'm thinking in the centre this end, 10mm in. Is 10mm going to be enough? Should be. So we'll spot this 10mm in, then we'll come to this end and work out where we want those other ones. That's that one done. So we bring these two 10mm in from the end as well. And then I'll just get this to 10. Then we need to sort out how far out from centre we would like them. I'm thinking just inside that rusty line, which is 22mm near enough. Oh, wrong lever out. So 22. See what that looks like. Just put a little dot there. Put 22 that way. Yeah, I'm liking that. That should be all right. "22" back this way. Right, so these are M9 by 0.75. So I think that means we want an 8.25mm drill. So I think you just take the pitch off the size of the thread. I wonder if we've got M9 in here. Oh, let me just bring it out a bit to see what I'm doing. So, no. Doesn't give us an M9 in here. Right, I'm going to double check that, but I think with it being M9 by 0.75, in fact I can soon know if I'm right. Someone did tell me a long time ago, so if it was a M10 by, what we got, M10 by 150, yeah, 8.5 drill. So we want 8.25, don't we? I'll just see what I've got. As close to that as I can find. I don't think they go up to 8. See what we've got in here, shall we? Uh, 8.5, 8.4, 8.3. That'll do the job. I always just like to check them. You just never know, do you? Yeah, you see that's measuring just under 8.3, but that'll be alright. Right, we'll get set up for that. Right, I think we'll slow the revs down a little bit. We're not in a mad rush, are we? So 10mm and 22 still. Tough stuff to drill, that is. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on the quill handle, but I thought it might drill a little bit easier than that. Right. The other one through. My oil can's been leaking a bit, or I filled it up too much, one or two. Right, I'll drill the other one and I'll countersink the tops, and then we'll tap them. Right, I've got them countersunk. A bit of oil on the tip. I didn't want to power tap these, it being a fine thread. Didn't want to chance anything going wrong. It's going in nice and straight. Go a little bit more. If when we cut the top off it works alright, I'm just going to make 3 little legs that I can turn underneath, you know, to level it with. Finally get back on the lathe. Seems a long time since I've been on the lathe, I don't know why. And what I'll most probably do is, that's lovely. I wanted a fine thread, so I've got fine adjustment obviously. But when I get on the lathe, I'll have to make a test nut, won't I, with this tap. Well, that's as long as this works, that is. Fingers crossed, eh? 22. So we'll get these finished tapped. Sorry. We'll finish getting these 3 tapped, and then we'll get a couple of jacks in between the block, in between the box, and see about machining the top off. See how much movement we get. You never know, we might be lucky. Right. So I've got a jack inside there. I have a feeling it might fall out though because I can't get it very tight. I've measured the width of it at the minute. It's 98.67 millimetres. We'll see what it is when we get it cut. I'm going to go, I'll put a 50 thou cut on there, which is just nowhere near, look, it's not even touching. Let's just bring that up then. I'm going to cut this side so that we're nearly there. And then I'm going to what have you done now? Well, that's a 100th thou. I'm going to nearly cut through this side and leave a little bit on so I can take some off the other side. It's hard on them corners. Oh, I wonder if I put the wrong end mill in. Well, it may well be just that it's stuck out the vise so much. See that alright? Well, the jack hasn't fell out yet, has it? It's lining the edge of the cutter up for the edge of the... Right, we're just touching. Let's just zero the knee. 100 thou again. See what happens this time. Bloody compressor. That's another 100 thou down. Chomping it out well enough. That's another 100. That's 80 thou, that's leaving us about 20 to 30 thou left holding this side on. So when this has got to the end, we'll start running down the back side. That's 200 thou that. Because it's the first cut, so it's not having to take out quite so much. Because it's cutting on the curve, isn't it? This will be 400 thou deep off the back, and it still looks like we could nearly take another 100 thou off it, I think. Anyway, keep going. Taking a 30 thou deep cut there, and that's just breaking through. I'm going to come back to the beginning. I think it wants a little bit more. Take it to 40. Keep your fingers crossed, boys, when we get to the end. That's caught back up with a 30 thou. I could go a lot quicker, but take my time with this bit, I think. I can see inside in the cuts. Yeah, the cut's as far up as that is, so we're not missing anything. inch to go. This will be the telling bit right about now. You hear that? Looks to me like we're all the way along. Now this should take us at the same height. That's taking a good 100 power off, isn't it? I can't believe the jack hasn't fell out with all this vibration. It's lifting. Slow it down a bit for the end here. If I can catch it, might not be the best idea. There we go, fellas. Just turn that off. Bring you out a bit so you can see a bit more. Hanging on a little bit, that side stuff, which actually maybe turned out to be a good thing. Right, tell you what we can do. Clear off some of this lot. A bit of a wipe down. It's getting late now. I've about had enough today, to be honest. What we can do, just to see, well, that was when it was in the vise. $39.25, 38.67. So yeah, it's widened out a little bit, which is not too bad. Right, like I say, I've had enough now. It's getting a bit late. I'll just tidy both of these up tomorrow, if I get a chance. They're on the same edge, same height, and then we'll go on from there. Right. See you later.